Welcome to This Explainer. Picture this. You wake up and you've just got this absolute fire in your belly. Your eyes snap open, your mind is totally racing with possibilities, and you tell yourself, today is it. Today is the day I'm finally going to change my life. You're going to launch that business, write that book, or finally get into the best shape of your life. And honestly, you feel totally unstoppable. That feeling is just intoxicating, isn't it? It feels so incredibly real in that exact moment. But as we're going to dive into today, relying on that fire is exactly what's keeping you stuck. We call this the motivation trap. And figuring out how to escape it, well, that is literally the single most important skill you can develop for your future.
Because here's the harsh reality check we all end up facing. You start your morning at 100%, just fully charged and ready to go. But then the afternoon slump hits. Suddenly, your couch develops this massive gravitational pull that you just can't seem to fight. The friction of actually doing the work starts feeling way too heavy. And before you even realize what's happening, you're ghosting your own goals, exactly like you did last week. The super rapid drain, going from 100 straight down to 0, is a daily cycle that so many of us are completely trapped in. And here's the absolutely crucial thing you need to understand. When you don't follow through, it's not because you lack talent, and you definitely don't lack time. What you're actually struggling with is a profound consistency problem. You are basically waiting for the perfect internal conditions before you take any external action. And that brings us to the core issue. On one hand, you've got the spark, the wave. That's your motivation. We sit around waiting for it to wash over us. But here's the thing about a wave. It's temporary. It crashes on the shore, it's here for a fleeting second, and then it is completely gone. On the other hand, we have boring repetition. That's consistency. And the brutal, unglamorous truth is that anything truly great, any staggering success you see and admire in other people, takes a really long time and a massive amount of just plain boring repetition. If you build your foundation on a wave, your house is going to wash away every single afternoon.
Section 1. Discipline over feelings. It's time to build the wall. Think about building a stone wall. You lay it stone by stone, day by day. Real progress simply doesn't happen when the crowd is cheering you on or when you're feeling deeply inspired. It happens in the quiet, completely unexciting moments when absolutely nobody is watching. It happens when you're exhausted, when you're stressed out, and when the goal honestly doesn't even feel exciting anymore. You have to stop relying on motivation and start laying those stones. You've got to build discipline, because discipline will take you places motivation never could. That is the undeniable reality for high achievers. They don't magically have better feelings than you do. They just have a much stronger wall. So how do we actually do this? How do we break this draining cycle of broken promises? Well, step 1 is going to sound completely counterintuitive. You need to lower your targets. Seriously, stop promising yourself that you're going to completely change your entire life forever starting tomorrow. The mental weight of the word forever is exactly what crushes your spirit by 2 p.m. Instead, move right to step 2. Commit to one specific, highly actionable task for just the next 7 days. Don't even think about month 3 or year 5. Can you do it for 7 days? You want to lower the bar until it is so incredibly easy that you literally cannot say no, and then you just step right over it. Section 2. Practical frameworks for mechanical execution. Okay, here is a framework that powerfully hacks human psychology. It's called the 2-minute rule. Let's say you sit down at your desk and you really don't feel like studying. Or maybe you're staring at your running shoes and you just don't feel like working out. Make a deal with yourself. Tell yourself you are only going to do the task for exactly 2 minutes. If you want to completely quit after 120 seconds, you have total permission to do so. But here's the magic of this trick. More often than not, the mere physical act of starting is exactly what generates the motivation to keep going. Motivation does not precede action. Action precedes motivation. You just have to trick your brain into crossing that starting line. Now, once you've gotten the hang of starting, you need a framework for deep, sustained focus. Enter the 90-91 formula. For the next 90 days, you commit to spending the very first 90 minutes of your workday on your single most important task, the one thing that actually moves the needle. Why does this work so well? Because it completely eliminates decision fatigue. Think about it. Every morning, you wake up with a limited reservoir of willpower and decision-making energy. If you waste that energy just trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing, you are drained before you even start. But with this rule, the choice is already made for you. You sit down, the clock starts, and you just execute. So why do we naturally resist frameworks like these? Well, it comes down to our brain's default state. We have this deep addiction to novelty. We are constantly craving the shiny new object, the brand new strategy, the latest productivity app. We trick ourselves into thinking the secret to success is something we just haven't discovered yet. But contrast that with true mastery. Mastery is about doing the exact same boring foundational routines over and over and over again. Think about sports legends, right? Guys like Kobe Bryant or Steph Curry. Their greatness didn't come from constantly tweaking their shooting form. It was born from shooting the exact same shot tens of thousands of times in completely empty gyms.
Imagine a hand swinging an axe, hitting the exact same mark on a tree with zero deviation. Legendary success is almost never a sudden lightning strike of luck or natural genius. It's really just the axe hitting the same spot 1,000 times until the tree finally comes down. When you're using the 90-91 rule or the 2-minute rule, you're just swinging the axe. Yes, it feels repetitive. Yes, it feels totally unglamorous. But that absolute lack of deviation, that is exactly what brings the massive tree crashing down. Section 3. Rewriting your identity. Let's transform your core.
I want you to really think about this idea. You aren't your excuses or your past. You are your habits. Just let that sink in for a second. The goal of all of this isn't to be perfect. It's about progress. Are you going to fall off the path sometimes? Absolutely. We all do. But when you do, you don't dwell on it, and you certainly don't let it define you. You just get right back on. Because every single time you show up when you would much rather quit, every time you swing that axe when you are dead tired, you're sending an incredibly powerful psychological message to yourself. You are literally telling your brain that you are no longer the kind of person who gives up. You are actively rewriting your identity in real time, purely through your actions.
And this brings us to the ultimate promise of this explainer. When you make that choice, when you consistently choose discipline over your feelings, when you embrace that boring repetition instead of chasing fleeting novelty, you fundamentally elevate yourself. If you are willing to commit to this level of extraordinary consistency, the compound interest of your habits is going to take over. And eventually, you're going to look back and see staggering, undeniable results. Results that will look like pure magic or some kind of innate genius to absolutely everyone else around you. But you'll know the real truth. It wasn't a random spark. It was the solid wall that you built stone by stone.
Thank you for joining me for this Business Blueprint Explainer on escaping the motivation trap. We've deconstructed the whole illusion of the spark. We've walked through the 2-minute and 90-91 frameworks for building ironclad consistency, and we've seen how boring repetition can fundamentally rewrite who you are. So as we wrap up this session and you step back into your daily routine, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. Are you going to spend tomorrow just waiting for the wave, or are you going to pick up the axe and take your very first swing? The choice and the identity that follows is entirely up to you.